Stronger.
Imagine a world without choices.
Stronger.
Imagine you can't make your own decision. That wouldn't be a world for me. That wouldn't be a world for you. You, I see.
Tell them we're gonna be stronger. Together, together we can make it right. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. Gonna be stronger together. Time we all just unify. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. It is a natural right for every human being to be free. Free, so free. So the government is there to protect you and me. You wise the objective is to liberate the citizens from colonial bondage, them regulation, them taxation. Rob Jamaica, we independent. Be stronger together, together we can make it right. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. We're gonna be stronger together. Come, we all just unify. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. Non-partisan, constitutional Republic of Jamaica. You see the sovereignty of every citizen should be protected. Life, liberty and property of everyone should be equal with safety. Free and orderly social market, that a way all can live and earn it. Gonna be stronger together, together we can make it right. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. We're gonna be stronger together. Come, we all just unify. Our purpose is a
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of UIC Liberty TV. I'm just looking for my co-host, Miss. There we go. Auntie Shirley is here with us. Good evening, Auntie Shirley. You want to kick off for us?
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening, everyone. Good evening to Jamaica and good evening to the diaspora. My name is Auntie Shirley, and we are here to have a lively discussion and to come to some level of understanding and how we can go forward. With my co-host, Mr. Joseph Patterson, it's a pleasure, and I'm thankful to be here talking to you.
It's my pleasure as well to be here, Aunt Shirley, and I'm looking forward to, what you're going to bring to the table tonight. The kind of conversation you want to have. This is an open conversation led by you, and I'm going to be here to give my 2 cents and to answer any tough questions that you throw my way. But I'm anxious to hear what's on your mind and what's important to you. But before we jump into that, let me just big up all the persons I see online here right now. I see Farnet Porter, I see For the Truth, I see Craig McKenzie, and there's a host of others, about 25 other people I'm seeing here right now. So, Aunt Shirley, how has your day been so far?
It has been great, it has been great, and I'm giving thanks to life, and I'm in good health and high spirit.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And where
Second, please.
where are you now?
I'm looking in Queens, New York.
Queens, New York. You're a member of the diaspora.
That's right.
Wonderful. Well, we love to hear from the diaspora because we know that many Jamaicans are overseas because they've been made economic refugees, and some leave because of medical reasons, and others leave because of other social factors as well. But
Right.
the UIC believes in one Jamaica. So whether you're in Queens, New York, or London, England, or Toronto, Canada, or
Everywhere
Berlin,
around the
Germany,
world.
we're one
Straight
big family.
Jamaica. Straight Jamaicans.
Straight Jamaica, and we're stronger together. So now, what do you want to talk about? What are you going to talk to us about tonight? What is your big issue that you want to talk to us about tonight? We're going to do this every Wednesday night, so
Every Wednesday night. Right.
yeah.
But I want to kick off by, calling on my people.
Mhm.
Because you ever since if my people hear my voice and begin to look into themselves and understand what we're trying to do and say to them that it is high time for us to put aside whatever issues that we might have against each other and come together for a cause that will bring our country out of the muck that it is into. So I understand for over 80 years now. I'm not 80, but the system is around 80 years now. And I've seen from my youth coming up, I've seen what those two sets of politicians have done to the country. Now, my question to you, Mr. Patterson, you have other groups have tried to form a third party before, and it didn't take off. Reason being,
Well, oh,
hold
go
on,
ahead. No,
sorry.
you go ahead. Yes.
Reason being, Beelzebub can't drive out Beelzebub.
Mm.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yes, I follow. I follow.
If you're coming with an intention to be just like what they are doing, then you find that people are not going to trust. Because, you have people out there, as Bob Marley sing this and say, you fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, I've seen your manifesto. I've read it, and a lot of things in there make a whole lot of sense to me. And this look like a hope for Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
My question to you, sir, what different can you do to hold the attention and get the vote of the people, get the mind of the people to look your way to realize and say that you're not the same as those two?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, on Shirley, it is a big task. It is a massive task because you're talking about 80 years of conditioning, 80 years of the people being led a particular way. So, for example, when the people hear that you're a politician, and I don't call myself a politician, I call myself a public servant. When
Right,
people hear that you're a politician, there's certain expectations that forms in the mind immediately.
right,
If you're a politician, you must come and give me something. If
right.
you want
True.
my vote. So if you
Mm-hmm.
want me to vote for you, you need to give me something. And they're used to somebody giving them a goat, a bag of cement,
Mm,
a sheet of Solitex, or zinc, or fertilizer, or a $5,000, or a $10,000, or school fee for the children, or lunch money for the children, or buy a tablet from a child, something. So
right,
they're
right.
used to that kind of politics. Now, if you don't give them that, then some of them will automatically say, okay, I'm not interested. So that's one mindset. They
Mm,
only want a handout. And there are those now who have the idea of mega nyam him out and vote for my party. Because them name string tied to a particular party. Me tied to PNP or me tied to GLP, right?
right. Mm,
So they might nyam out whoever come and then go and vote that way. So that's a mindset we're dealing with. But there's also another side to the equation. If you look at what's happening in Jamaica over the last three elections, we have gone from 48% didn't vote to 52% didn't vote to 63% didn't vote. So really, almost two-thirds of the nation, two in three persons who could vote have decided not to vote. So for every three persons that could vote, two of them don't vote. Those who vote are now in the minority. So it's a smaller percentage of the nation that are voting, which means they are mostly the die-hearted folks. They're committed to their party. Now, in
Mm.
the last election, if you notice what happened, it's not it's it's not like the government that we have now won over the people. It's more that those who supported the PNP, many of them stayed home because they have lost confidence in their party. They have lost confidence in the leadership of their party.
Right.
So a lot of them stayed home. While on the JLP side now, they have been in the political wilderness for a longer time in recent years. And so they are hoping and were hoping that if their party came into power, things would be better. Now, after 7 years of the Andrew Holness government and about 4 years of the Golden government that ended in tragedy, in disgrace, and in resignation, I think even JLP hardcore members now are kind of scratching their heads and saying something doesn't seem right here. So now the PNP members, they know by experience that they have seen 18 and a half years of their party in power, and they saw another 4.5 years on the Portia Simpson, and then they have seen the infighting and problems of the PNP. Where am I going with this? Where I'm going with this on Shirley's, why should anybody now trust Joseph Patterson and the UIC after they have seen the treachery and the tragedy of trusting two parties for 8 years that have failed them so much? I'm asking you not so much to trust Joseph Patterson, but to trust yourself. Think of
Exactly.
if you have been trying two parties for 8 years, what do you have to lose if you try something different since the other two have failed you for 18 years? No, you don't want the right person back for sure. So you want to also assess Joseph Patterson and assess the UIC. So let's assess it. Let's do an assessment. Who
Right.
is Joseph Patterson?
Right.
I was born downtown Kingston in a place called Blake Road, Central Kingston, in one
Right.
of the baddest constituency on the planet in
Right.
Jamaica. That's where I was born, Central Kingston. And I have seen the kind of politics that tears people apart. The
Mm-hmm.
politics where they put guns in the hands of our young men, where they fund gangs with government contracts and make them into powerful dons, where they rip communities apart. We have top side and bottom side, and this side can't cross this line and that side. So very ugly politics. Now, my mother was a strong PNP activist. So as a boy growing up with her in the 70s, I went around with her to all of the meetings and stuff and saw the strategies and so on. And one thing I realized while going around with my mother and following and observing these two parties, they always seem to do something very effectively. They cause us to hate each other. They cause us to kill each other. They
Yep.
cause us to fight each other. And why are we doing that? We're fighting for what PJ Patterson calls scarce benefits and
Fit.
spoil.
Mm-hmm.
When my party in a power, we get certain things.
Right.
When my party in a power, you get certain things. So neither party works for the entire country. They work to secure power for themselves. And why? Why is it? With the low pay that they were getting, and I said their paycheck was very low, very low. Why is it with the low pay that they were getting, they would spend millions of dollars to win the seat? If you're only getting, say, $3 million for your pay, why would you spend $10 million to get a seat? It means that when you get the seat for the 10 million, you know how you're going to get
To
back
get it back.
10 million.
Exactly.
More than
Exactly.
the 10 million. So it means that you have been fooling us because you tell us, say you want to fight and covet and kill to get a seat where you only get $3 million for your salary, but you're going to spend 10 million. Why? Eventually, on Shirley, I figured out why. Because they're a part of a system, an economic system, where the politics they practice is really to keep us poor so that they can become filthy rich.
I'm glad you touched on that point because as I was listening to the IMF man,
Yes.
I call them the vulture. They're coming down to pick on Jamaica. And Jamaican people need to understand and realize that all of a sudden, all of these people want to come in and dictate to us. Why? Number one, they see that Jamaican people now are waking up and realize the game that they're playing on us. You understand? And
Yes.
as long as they keep Jamaican people separated and fighting each other, then they can able to swoop in. Because they're talking about um digital currency. Now, Mr. Patterson, how is it they want to bring in digital currency and you don't have a proper internet service down there?
Mm.
Are
Absolutely.
Jamaican no proper internet service? Not only that, majority of Jamaican people do not have a bank account.
Mhm.
So what are you telling me? For those people who do not have a bank account, what are they going to use to buy food for their family and to take care of their bills and the necessity?
Necessities. Yes. Yes.
The
The,
necessity.
the aim.
No,
The
so
aim.
these are the things that
The
I'm saying
aim.
to my Jamaican people to look into.
The aim of these guys on Shirley is really to legalize the oppression of our people. If
Exactly.
you look at all the laws that they put in place, no matter how nice they tell you about the laws are designed to legalize oppression. So, for example, they will put in banking laws and so the laws are to protect us. But what it is to create a monopoly. It is to give their friends banking license to rip us off and to do so legally while
Right.
they think they're working for us. So all the laws that they pass are laws to oppress the Jamaican people. But let me backtrack a little bit because I wanted to answer the question, what makes Joseph
You
Patterson
spot us on
different?
different. Right.
On Shirley, I am very, very fortunate for somebody who failed common entrance twice and failed technical entrance on top of it and went to a new secondary school. They said, don't speak me. For me to have been able to eventually go to Stats and get a scholarship and become an engineering student with a full scholarship at Tech, and then to become a chartered accountant, and then to become a business owner, and then to be minister, a director of finance in government in Canada. Now, for me to come back to Jamaica with all of that and decide that I am going to form the United Independence Congress instead of simply just do like what all of the young professionals do that go into politics. They simply join one of the two gangs. So every little young professional in Jamaica now that decides to go into politics, to leave their profession, to leave their lawyer profession, to leave their dentist profession, to leave their medical profession and become politicians, what do? They go where they can make a quick money.
Yeah.
Because if their party wins, they get access immediately. None of these young persons, from Damian Crawford to Lisa Anna to Andre Orton to Zulika Jess, none of them decide to go and do what I am doing. Build a political movement to educate the Jamaican people about what is really happening and to empower them to rise up against the establishment. No, instead, they join in with the corruption. They join in with
Exactly.
and they want to tell us that they're different. No, I am different because I didn't join the gangs. I stood up and stood out and call my people to attention and say, let us realize the trick and let us undo the trick by moving away from these two parties and creating a new Jamaica to serve the interest of all Jamaicans.
You're so perfectly right because you talk to one particular person who I know for sure, and I can tell you, I am not knocking a person to be ambitious, but be fair, be fair about your dealings. And Damien Crawford, him blow him trumpet and him talk as if him thinks that everybody are idiot.
Yes. Yeah.
I was at you when he was going to law school there. I know him inside out. So he can't talk to me. Period. No accountability. Who holds these politicians accountable? And how can we, when you take over, how will we able to hold you accountable?
Very good question. Now, right now, the only way to hold them accountable is you give them 5 years, and if they fail you in the 5 years, you vote them out. That's what they tell you. You vote them out. But guess what? They have a system. The system is this. They make sure so you don't have any other option but the two of them. So right now, you're fed up and you're tired and you're upset with Andrew. And what must be your option? Vote PNP. And when you were upset after the 18.5 years of the PNP failures, when you were upset with them, what is the option? Vote JLP. Because they know it doesn't matter which of the two of them you vote for, you're still trapped in the
The same
you're
PSA
still
about
trapped in the
it. Yeah.
system. So how will you hold the UIC accountable now? Look at how the UIC is different. When we form the next government, our commitment to you is to change the system. So we're going to move from a partisan, corrupt, fake democracy to a true non-partisan constitutional republic. What does that mean? For example, in the current fake governance model we have, you don't vote for senators. The prime minister and the opposition leader appoint their friends and companies to senators.
Exactly.
So with our system, the UIC, we are going to change that and give you the right, every parish, to vote for one senator, and you have one from each parish. No
Right.
longer controlled by, let's say I am the prime minister. I will not be able to control them anymore because under me appoint them. You elected them by your individual parishes. That's number one. Number two, in the current system, the prime minister gets to appoint him own party member them who win to executive positions. And they're both legislators and executive at the same time. Let me explain this carefully. So you have a man who is in charge of the Ministry of Health, but he's also a part of the group that is supposed to oversee if the minister runs up. He's a part of the legislature. So you mix up together. And because of that mix up, they're not being held accountable. The UIC going to separate that. They're going to have the executive branch will be subject matter expert, and the legislative branch will be separate from the executive, so they can oversee them properly. So right away, you start to get accountability. No, not 5 years down the road, but immediately you start to have your legislators, your MPs, being able to speak freely because they're no longer controlled by the prime minister. They can really object and begin to and analyze what's going on because they're not also a part of the executive because we're separated. The third thing we're going to do to give you full accountability, we're going to cut off the PSOJ from funding political parties and funding
Exactly.
campaigns. We're going to make it 100% publicly funded. So guess what? If you're poor and want to run for office, you will be disadvantaged because you're poor. And if you're rich and want to run for office, you'll not be advantaged by your riches. Opportunity system. So those three things alone, and there's more, but those three things alone is going
Right.
to ensure real accountability. So when you elect UIC and you elect me to be your first president, you're getting a new Jamaica, a new system that holds all of us accountable, not just every 5 years, but fully accountable.
And how will you maintain that accountability, the maintain your autonomy to
Yeah.
ensure none of your office is being ridiculed by the outer, people who tends to want to come in and dictate to you and tell you how to run the country and grease the palm and draw you one side because this is what they want. They want a piece of the land, and you know the thing what I'm talking about. All these things where you find say enough of the politician them sell out Jamaican people because them only care about them pocket alone and them family and them friends. They don't genuinely care about the people of the country.
Right. It's
And
really
Jamaican people need to understand and realize that we are the one that builds the minority to have money. Are we? So we do have the power
yeah.
to put
And
a
we have the money,
stop.
Shirley. We have the money. Look at it. Do you notice, no matter how poor Jamaica is, the big companies are always doing very, very well.
Exactly.
How can you have a country where the companies, the big companies, are doing very, very well, people are poor? That tells you that something is wrong with that system. And what is wrong with the system is that the big companies own the government. They own and control the government by virtue of, for example, in the last election, the big companies gave these two parties $300 million to come and buy our votes. So it doesn't matter which of them we elect.
It's the same thing.
Behind the scenes, the big companies, the Grace Kennedys, the NCBs, all of these big companies, they are calling the shots. Now, when the UIC changes the system and remove the big companies from being able to fund our campaigns, and now the campaigns are funded 100% publicly in a structured way that protects our interests, now you're going to have proper checks and balances in government. So let's say, as you said before, somebody come and try to buy me out, right? Let's, we have the new Jamaica now, new system, and somebody comes and tries to buy me out. I will no longer have the cover of controlling the Senate and controlling the House and controlling the executive, which is what the Prime Minister currently has. He has control over the Senate, he has control over the House, and he has control over the executive, and even the police and the judiciary.
Exactly.
When we separate that out on Shirley, so we have power residing separately in these branches, and they're not tied together by a corrupt system designed to concentrate power in the hands of the Prime Minister, then you're going to have the freedom for people to be caught very quickly, investigated, prosecuted, and punished for any form of corruption. And that will go from top to bottom. The UIC system is designed top down when it comes on to corruption, top down when it comes on to crime, and bottom up when it comes on to economic development. We must build our people from the bottom up, and we must make sure we put a spotlight on corruption first at the top.
Exactly.
Catch those at the top first, and if you catch those at the top and crucify them, the people at the bottom and the middle will adjust their behaviors accordingly.
Do you think it is fair for a prime minister to use his wife as the question removed? Like what Mr. Andrew always have there now. His wife is the. You're not here. Are you hearing me?
I can hear you now. Yes, yes.
Yeah, his wife. She is the integrity leader.
Well,
so if you're gonna use your wife to be the integrity leader, she not gonna sell it out.
Well, it's a family affair. As a matter of fact.
So my question is, should a prime minister have his family in the business beside him or her?
No.
Why?
First of all, our political system should never be a family business. It should not be a family affair. And if you look at the history, we started off with people like Buster and Norman Manley being cousins. Yeah. We have seen father and son following each other. We have seen now many MPs have been working to get their daughters and their sons in after them right across. The Prime Minister has his wife in there. So remember, the salary is low, the salary is low. but both the prime minister and his wife decided that they should be in politics, even though the salary is low.
Right.
They felt it was in the best interest of their family that both of them are getting a low salary as a
Hmm.
public, which is amazing. My Aunt Shirley, the whole thing is one bag of corruption. It,
To the core. It
and
turn up. The corruption
they
turn
turn
up.
up, and they've been getting away with fooling us, and it's time for us to stop it. It's time for us to say we have had enough now. But guess what? They're smart on Shirley. They know this. For me and the UIC to reach the Jamaican people, we need a fair and balanced media, right? The media houses.
Right.
For them to be fair and balanced, and therefore for them to carry the news item like this. Okay, there's an issue in Jamaica, whatever the issue is. Let's say the issue is land reform. You should hear the government is doing this or not doing this about land reform. Then you hear the opposition leader or the opposition party is saying this about land reform. And then you should hear, and the UIC is saying this. No, they stop at the opposition. So you don't hear in the news anything from the UIC. So people start to
Because
say,
they have the major media houses there in their back pocket. They
yes,
have
so
the major
people,
media houses there in their back pocket.
so they get the people to think that the UIC is not doing anything, doesn't exist. So many Jamaicans will sit there, they're not hearing because when they watch TVJ, they're seeing PNP, GLP, nothing else. When they
Right.
watch CVM, PNP, GLP, nothing else. If they take up the newspaper, PNP, so the media is playing a massive role in deceiving the Jamaican people. And guess who owns the media? The same people who owns the two parties. The
Just
same
like in
people,
America here.
yes, the same people who are funding these two parties are the same people who own the media, and therefore they're using that to manipulate the mind. So the next thing that a party need, a third party need, is money now. Buy advertisement to pay for people to travel around the country, to pay for transportation, pay for meals, pay for accommodations, pay for printing, pay for data, pay for T-shirts, all this stuff. Where does that money come from? Now, many Jamaicans, they only see politics as a form of spectator sport. So they stand back, they observe. They don't realize that if they don't get involved and fund the alternative, the PSOJ oligarchs will still fund the parties that they want in power, and the people will never get what they need because the people are not funding what they need. So the
Right.
UIC is trying to tell the Jamaican people, it's time for you to fund what you need. Let us own the UIC by funding it in the same way that the PSOJ own the GLP and PNP and fund them so that
Right.
they, the PSOJ, get what they want. Let us on Shirley fund our party so we can get what we the people want. We want a safe Jamaica. We want a clean Jamaica. We want an orderly Jamaica. We want a Jamaica where people can get jobs, where people can get better income, where children can get better schooling. Now, if we want that and we're not getting it from them, then we have to fund our own party. And the PSOJ and the media, the two party them know this system. And they continue to try to fool us by saying third parties can't win. Well, third parties can win and will win if we decide, we the people
Of
decide.
course. Definitely. Definitely.
Yes.
I would like to pause a question and make a pause question and make some plead to my sisters down
Yeah.
there. The plea that I'm making to, not that I'm putting aside our male counterparts. They are very important to us as well.
Yes.
But the reason for me to ask you to make a pause so that I can make appeal to my sisters, them down there, who have platform, to use their platform to reach out to the people them down there who do not understand and know the full dynamics of what is going on
Mhm.
and the change that we need to make. We're in the era of technology and information now. And I know for sure for those sisters down there, if they use their platform in a positive way, because especially for the younger folks, they will get them to come along and to understand what is going on to make that shift. Because we have to focus on our young people. Because if you notice, those corrupt politicians, the two party, they take our young people, they give them gun, and they create a kind of system of scarcity down there so that they have to go and kill them one another. And also, I'm appealing to all the musicians them down there. They do have a platform. And if you truly care about Jamaica, if you all care about Jamaica, we'll put aside the ism and the schism
Yes.
and the pulling down of each other. Now is not the time for that. Because if you look what is going on around the globe right now, even in Africa, they start coming together because they realize, even though some of the leaders are still wishy-washy, you understand? Because they don't understand that once you put a country in a position where everybody can able to contribute to the country, we can have a more civilizing country. They don't want that.
Mhm.
It's all about power. It's all about greed, and it's all about sex. Believe you me, these are the three major things that they use on our people: power, sex, and greed.
Mhm.
And I'm pleading to our people in Jamaica to
I
wake
see.
up.
I see a question here, Miss on Shirley. Let me see here, Michael Brown. He said, "We need to know what is your action plan to defeat the JLP and PNP. They
That's a
both
good one.
they both do a lot of sweet talking like what you are doing now." Um, I want to answer this question in a
Yes, go
a
ahead.
very solid way, right? I want us to pause. Let's take this carefully. He's asking, what is my action plan to defeat the GLP and PNP? Let's say I had a plan to defeat them and I told you what that action plan is right now. Then that plan would be null and void.
Exactly.
Because the moment I tell you, then the enemy knows the plan and it's over. No, he also said both do a lot of sweet talking like what you're doing now. So you're equating me to them. You're saying, Mr. Patterson, you're no different from them because they give us sweet talk and you're giving us sweet talk. Now, what is your role, Michael Brown? And I'm not just speaking to you, Mr. Michael Brown, but to all the Michael Browns out there who have this question. Think about it carefully. What you're saying here, you're saying that you think I am giving you sweet talk, and that is just like theirs. Now, if that's the case, there's hardly any reason to even listen to me because if I'm giving you just sweet talk and they're giving you sweet talk, then why change? You must be able to see something more significant than that in the UIC. What has the UIC done so far? We have taken the time without your tax dollars to design a new system of governance for our country. You have been paying these people for 80 years. You have done it, your grandmother, your grandfather. You have given them billions of dollars in taxes, and they have never come to you with a clear, articulate, well designed, and well developed new system of governance that would protect your rights. If you call that sweet talk, then I don't know what else to do. Because without your tax dollars, taking my own time away from my family, money away from my pocket, and I spend the time and energy on Shirley to develop and design a solid system of governance for you, and you are going to belittle it and call it sweet talk just like the others, then there's nobody that can help a Jamaica if that's the way we're going to do it. If you cannot see what I have done and what the UIC has done so far, look what happened in 2021 when we tried to inject all of us and would have injected all of us. It's the UIC, the one movement. Every other movement got very quiet. The opposition party that is now jumping up and down, waiting for its turn now to take over, they were not there for you. It's the UIC that took the time away from our jobs. We weren't being paid by taxpayers. We volunteered our time, spent days and night organizing, strategizing, and leading an effort to stop the government from being able to coerce, bribe, or trick us all into taking the injection. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not against any medication. I'm against forcing you to take a medication that you don't want to take.
Against your will. Against
Yes,
your will.
that's the whole issue, force. So we had to stand up, and we stood up, and I stood at the front when the police came and said, who is in charge of this? All of the other UIC leaders that were around were quiet. And I'm not belittling anybody, I'm just telling you the plain truth. Some of them gone. I stood forward. I am responsible. I am in charge. And I led our people on a march from Ward Theatre towards Gordon House. And they chose to lock me up. Now, if you call that sweet talk, you should try and experience the experience that I had when they did that to me. You understand? Now, if you call it sweet talk, look at the battles that we have fought to even make Jamaica have a third option. Because you didn't know that in 2018 they changed the laws and wiped out all third parties. There's only two parties when they changed the law, PNP and GLP. All the other ones that existed were now made null and void. The UIC fought that for 10 long months, battled with them until they had to recognize the UIC as Jamaica's official third political party and gave us a charter. They never even did what they did for the other parties and called a public meeting and invite the media over our charter certificate. They just put it in the mail. You understand? This is what we have been through for you to now call it sweet talking. One final thing on Shirley. Today, we all have three options in front of us. Option number one, listen carefully. Option number one, go out there on election day and vote PNP or GLP. That's option number one. And you're going to get more of what you've gotten for the last 80 years or worse. And I think worse. That's option number one. You already have enough experience. You know that if you go out there and vote for Mark Golding and the PNP, you are going to end up with what you have gotten for the last 80 years plus worse. Because now the powers that be are more serious now than they were 10, 15, 20 years ago. They have some serious plans for us. So you vote for Mark Golding and the PNP and you're going to get what that means. You vote for Andrew Holness and the GLP, and you're going to get more of the last 80 years, more of the last 7 years, and worse. No, that's option one. Option two, you can do what nearly 2/3 of Jamaicans did. Don't vote. Just say, I'm not going to vote. I'm done with this. Back off. Whether you vote or not, if you don't, if you don't vote, somebody is going to be elected no matter what. And it's very likely that if you don't vote, those two are going to be re-elected. So you're going to end up with more of the same. Those are options one and two. Vote for them, the same thing. Vote for none of them or nobody, same thing. The only other option you have left is to vote for an alternative political party. Now, what do you have to lose? The alternative political party, nobody can do worse than these two guys. It's almost impossible to do worse than these two. So your best option is to vote for something else. But guess what? You have to do more than that, Aunt Shirley, because voting is not enough. If we just sat down and did nothing and wait for election day, when you go to vote, the people of Jamaica will only know PNP and GLP. The majority will only know GLP and PNP and will vote for that. It's only if we rise up and unite our time, our talent, and our treasure and help the UIC to be a strong political party, a strong political movement to fight for our rights, to defend our interests, to ensure Jamaica does not fall prey to the IMF again, that Jamaica does not fall prey to the PSOJ oligarchs again, that Jamaica doesn't fall prey to the globalist agenda, but instead Jamaica stands on its own 2 feet, protects its own interests, and become a country of truly free people like what the UIC has proposed. I rest my case.
Well said, Mr. Patterson. However, you're going to get challenged, and welcome the challenge, because when you speak, this is how you get to provoke the mind thought of people. So yeah, when you see a criticism come inside and they make their challenge, it's good. It's
Yes.
healthy. It's very healthy. Now, the next question that I want to bring forth is, how will you able to reach our youth?
Well, that's a tall order there in terms of how do we reach our youth.
Yeah.
Through you, through us. And by the way, though, Aunt Shirley, I am hoping very soon all of our listeners realize that it's not how Mr. Patterson is going to do this or that. It's how we are going.
We.
How are we going to reach our young people? Now, our young people are in a very precarious position because we have never had more access to information and distractions like we do now. So our young people are in a position where they have a lot of unfiltered distractions in their lives. They don't have to watch. They don't even have to watch the news anymore, nor do they. They don't have even the kind of, when you were going to school, on Shirley, I believe your teachers were more engaged than they are now. I believe your teachers were more focused on your development.
Exactly.
Now, just imagine now where many of our teachers, and I've observed our teachers, and hats off to all the teachers out there who are trying their best. Many teachers now are afraid of the students, and rightly so. They're afraid of the parents, and rightly so. They are not supported by the greater system. The Ministry of Education, the government isn't really behind the teachers. They're like fish out of water in the school system. So the teachers are not able to be as engaged or as vested as they once were because the dynamics have shifted tremendously. So it means that the quality of education that our children are receiving now is far inferior to what it was before. Now, if Jamaica got as bad as we did with the strongest system we ever had before, just imagine now how much the moral fabric of the nation would have depreciated and is depreciating. Let me tell you how bad it is. Every year, over 70% of our students leave school without the basic competencies necessary. Many can't read, write, or do arithmetic. Many can't reason or communicate effectively. So you mean you got 70%, 70%. Now, the other 30% will have some degree of competences. Not necessarily optimum, but some degree, more than the 70%.
Right.
This 30% that is left, less than 30%, shortly after they leave high school and go to college, they're leaving the country. The best of them, for the most part, will leave the country. So let's say we lose about 50% of the 30%. That's 15%. So we're left in this country with a high concentration of the wrong kinds of mindset. Now, all of those mindsets have a smartphone. What are they watching on the smartphone? What are they listening to on the smartphone? What is feeding
The mind. Yeah.
mind here?
The mind.
What kind, by the way, actually, your most powerful asset is your mind.
Exactly.
There's no other asset more powerful than the
That's
mind.
the mind.
It is the mind that created the cell phone. It is the mind that created the rocket. It is the mind that created the atomic bomb. So when the mind has been depreciated, as it has been, and we now have a system in Jamaica where school is failing, parents are failing. And when I say parents are failing, remember, it's the same 70% that left school without the proper communication.
No, because the parents.
Who are no parents. So
Exactly.
they couldn't reason properly. They can't compute properly. They can't plan properly. They can't organize properly. They can't communicate properly. And now they have a child which they're going to parent improperly.
They can't give what they don't have.
And now you're going to compound that because compound interest don't just work on money. Compound interest work on everything. If you have bad parents and bad education system and bad governance giving you bad children, then they're going to get better
Exactly.
children.
So it coming from the end. Exactly.
Rolling, right?
Rolling right
It's getting
down.
worse and worse. And so what you're finding we're doing in Jamaica now, we're creating a nation of incompetence, a nation of people who can't reason properly, who can't analyze properly, who can't compute properly. So what are you left with? That is why, watch on Shirley, when election time comes, who you see out and Peter run up and down
The
is
fully
who
dance.
at the margin of the society.
The fully dance.
Yes,
According to what the Prime Minister
exactly.
said.
And so
And
that
fully dance. And this is what they want to continue to remain. The fully dance.
exactly, they're the people that will accept $5,000 or $10,000 for one election and for the rest of the next 5 years. Aunt Shirley, if I give you $10,000, okay? If I give you $10,000 and we divide that $10,000 by, say, 365 days, that is $27 a day you have been giving, okay? But guess what? It's not 365 days. You're talking about a total of, take 4 years. 4 years times 365, that is 1,460 days. No, you take that $10,000 and you divide that by 1,460 days. That is $6.84 you have sold your vote for. You have sold your vote for $6.84 Jamaican a day. Now let's divide it by the exchange rate, okay? By the exchange rate. So by say 150, you have sold your votes for 4 cents, 4.5 cents US dollars a day. That's what you. So only the fully done would do that. Now here's the other people who don't think they're done. The highty-tighty ones who wear stockings and high heel to work every day, who wear jackets.
The bossy slave. You call them the bossy slave.
The bossy slaves.
Yeah.
They are selling their vote for $0.
Yeah.
So they don't vote and they watch on TV and enjoy the electioneering process, the campaigning, the nice ads, the Clarks, the dub plates, and they're watching and enjoying all of this. Think it's fun and not fun. Because it's you going walk and them going ride and drag your bag off your shoulder. Is you going to go to the bank and pull out your paycheck and they're going to stick you up and take it from you? Is you going to be sleeping in your house and going to tear off the grill and come in and kill you? Is you going to try to build up a business and they're going to come and shoot you? So while you think you are exempt because you are not among the pretty dons or the fully dons who
Mm.
are selling their votes. You are at your beautiful business place or your wonderful stocking job or your nice jacket and tie. But guess what? You are going to end up with a gun at your head. You're going to end up with your business place being torn down. You're going to end up living like a prisoner in your own home because
Yes,
of the country you allowed the fully dons to elect for you.
exactly. These are the next set of people that I want to ask you about because I haven't been down there for a while. No, I notice I don't hear no church people. You know, hear Aaron Blair. You don't hear Pastor Carr. Me I call all of the church people pastor them I know, you know. You don't hear evangelist, you don't hear Pastor Rob from Constant Spring Road, the New Life Assembly Church of God. You don't hear none of them. You don't hear another evangelist from Walton Park Road.
Yeah.
You don't hear Lickety Boss, Mark Stewart. You don't hear Belford Davis. Him only entertain the politician then for come and church to come talk nice nothing. What's wrong with all of these church people? Why
Yeah.
they sit so quiet while our youth are being murdered day after day? What happened? The blood of Jesus Christ not good anymore?
Yeah, I don't know. They're saying that my voice isn't clear, so I'm taking out the microphone. Can you hear me clearly, everybody?
I'm
Let's do a quick
hearing.
mic check. I know you can hear me, but all of you out there, can you hear me better now? I've taken out the mic. I'm using the one from the laptop. Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me clearly. Can you hear me? Yes or no? Can you hear me clearly? Let's get some feedback here quickly so we can go back to the church. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right. Mr. Allen says yes. No, your point is well taken, Madam Shirley. What you're saying is, where is the church? I'm going to tell you where the church is. I think I know where the church is. And some people will not be happy after I say this tonight. Here's where the church is. The church only has energy for the gay movement and abortion. That's what the church seems to care about. The church don't care about good or bad governance because they don't spend any time at all. As a matter of fact, what the church does, the church is divided like the people between PNP and JLP.
Same thought.
Just like the people. They have
Same thought.
a side rather than stand on principle. The principle that the church should stand on is this. We want good governance and good governance only. And if it's not good governance, we don't care whether it's PNP, JLP, or UIC. We are going to speak out against bad governance.
Exactly.
But the church hasn't done that.
You
In
don't hear
fact,
none of them.
the church is sitting there and watching bad
Yeah.
governance prevent the UIC from being seen by the people. The church should have stood up and say, no, this is wrong. The UIC is a duly registered political party, and we want the people to hear what they have to say. No, but the church come to me like Nicodemus in the night and ask me, what is your position on gay movement? What is your
Wow.
on abortion?
Wow.
Let us hear, let the public hear from the UIC clearly what it is proposing for Jamaica, just like we already hear clearly what the PNP and JLP does not have in mind for Jamaica. They have no plans to fix Jamaica. Let us hear from the UIC. What the church did, they have prayer breakfast. And they
Yeah.
make sure that they forget to invite the UIC. So when they're called and asked, how come you're having your prayer breakfast and you have not invited the UIC? Oh, it's an oversight. And so now
Really?
it's an oversight 2, 3, 4 years in a row. It's an oversight. The church can never remember that Jamaica has a third registered political party. So the church is a part of the problem. They're
Of
not
course they are.
the
Them
solution.
are the biggest
They
part of
are
the problem.
and I have to big up Pastor Peter Chambers because Pastor Chambers is one of the few pastors who come out and stood with the UIC against much of what is happening in this country. And just the other day, when the Mandela Park tried to charge us $71,000 to use the park, they tried to charge us $71,000.
Really?
We found out that churches get the park for $25,000. Pastor Chambers stood up and said, okay, I, as a pastor and my church, will apply for the park for the UIC to use it and pay only $25,000. That is the kind of leadership we want from the church. Not what we're seeing now.
The big mega churches
Yes.
them down there. The big mega churches them down there. I mean, I stop lick out upon them because they are behind the corruption too.
Yes.
And I make no apology about it.
Yes.
The big mega church, Arab Blair, them is okay. You don't hear them come out and say nothing. Is no more the ombudsman. Is that what you're saying? Come
Yes.
on now.
Exactly.
What is he doing? Arab Blair. Me call out him name Arab Blair. And there are rest of Delford Davis. They hold anti-owners in a them church. Why are they not looking out against the corruption? Because guess what? They are part of the corruption.
Absolutely.
They are part of it.
Why is it?
Look, hold on. Look. They look how many of our children being raped, being murdered, and you never hear a church people come out and say nothing.
Yes. Yes.
And yet still, you have people who say I'm a Christian, go to church every day.
Yes.
And listen to me, man. Why you think Jamaica in such a condition? And everybody is speaking in tongues, and none of the tongues can.
How can we have so many churches? How can we have so many churches and yet still we are so corrupt?
That's my question every day.
So who is doing the corruption? It's still Jamaica. So how come we have so many Christians? If every Christian in Jamaica decide to stand up against corruption, every Christian, so we're going to stand up against corruption, we're going to stand up against bad governance, we're going to stand up for good governance, then these two parties could not continue to exist. But the very Christians, the very church people, the very church leaders, they have been complicit in the whole.
Because they're a part of it.
Why is
right. They
why
know
is
to
it-
trick. They know to trick the people them at Sunday daytime and say if you not bring your offering come, God I go punish you.
Yes.
If you not bring your offering come, let me tell Jamaican people and the so-called Christian them down there. That them need to wake up and understand, say, them no need to go in one church to have a communication with the Almighty Creator. You understand? Because church a thief. Me make no apology about it. The whole of the pastor them down there, them a thief. They need to stop rob the people. Gone are the days when I was a young girl and going to church. You could have gone to one church and if you're sick, somebody would have ministered to you. Them think they're not going no more. Church become a business.
One of the problem the church, some churches seem to have with me is that when they talk to me in private, I am not interested in pushing the church's agenda. The only agenda I push. So I have the same problem with the gays. The gays came to me as well, and
Them are one other side too.
they tried to take over the movement, and I stood up against it, and they left. But hear me, the UIC is not here to push the agenda of any religious group or any special interest group. The agenda we're pushing is the agenda of good governance. And when
Exactly.
when you have good governance, all the groups are free to try to convince people to do what they want. So the church will be free to convince people to say, we have a better way, follow us. But you're not going to get the government to sponsor or to give them special privileges over anybody else. The gays, you're not going to get a UIC to push your agenda in our schools, in our universities, or to use government funding,
Absolutely not.
property to push your agenda. We're not going to do it. So while we're not going to say things like certain people are dead and all, we're not going to do that. We're not into that kind of stuff. We believe in protecting the rights of every person to make their choices. But the government must not be in the business of advancing any special interest group. This includes
Not at all. Exactly. I agree.
Bill Gates. This includes Bill Gates. This includes the WHO. This includes the IMF. This includes America. We are not here to push any special interest group. We're here for good governance. We're here to protect the sovereignty of every citizen. We're here to protect the sovereignty of Jamaica. That's it. So that's why some of them can't work with the UIC, because when they come to us now, we must corrupt ourselves and decide to give them special treatment, and we're going to push their agenda. We're not pushing your agenda. We're pushing the agenda of good governance, and only good governance.
Seems so. And on that note, the gay, let me tell you something. What is the agenda of the gay? Not all people who are gays are with the movement that is going on. And I can tell you the reason why. The force that is there that want to push this gay right against agenda, they want to demonize our male and move away from the natural nature of the law of the universe, right? Because when two men come together, they cannot reproduce. Now, when two women come together, they can't reproduce, right? And the idea is that the so-called elite are pushing this agenda because one of the things they claim that they want to cut down on the population. So these are the agenda that they're pushing. And they're also putting stuff in our water that causes our male to become less fertile. And even our female too. You understand? Because right now in America, most of the men them up here, they're having issue with their private part.
Well,
you understand?
The thing is, I don't have any evidence of that. I can say that I don't know because
but I am here.
I've not studied. But
Right.
here's where I want us to go with this on, Shirley. The role of government is not to sponsor, promote, or push any of these special agendas. That's the bottom line.
Right.
So when it comes on to persons want to choose what kind of, you want to choose your gender.
That's your prerogative. That's your business.
You want to go and you want to mutilate yourself. Be my guest.
Your business. Don't come enforce it on our children.
You want to have what I would call unnatural relationships.
That's your business.
But the government is not the place where you're going to come and get the government to push your agenda. No, I can't say, and I see Miss Foster is saying it, I can't say pastors are thieves or Christians are bad. I mean, I grew up in a Christian home. I was baptized in the church and everything. My point is, let people have the freedom to choose what they want to do. I love this scripture that says, choose ye this day whom you will serve.
You will serve. Exactly.
So I've always been amazed at how some Christians can want to live in a form of dictatorship where the government dictates.
Not some kids, not some majority of them. The dictatorship.
When I check out some of the scriptural texts, I see where the Creator Himself, from the Christian standpoint, has given man free will,
freedom
to
of
choose.
choice.
Choose what you want to do. Choose, and then you have another scripture that says, "As for me and my house, we will go this way." So So you get to choose which way you want to go, but you let the other person choose which way they want to go. And what you want is a government that is going to protect your rights so that him can force for him way upon you. Just like how you must not be able to force your way on him. So we want a Jamaica where no community can come and take over our school system and let's say push their agenda.
Nope.
Push their, let's say it's the gay agenda. Let's say it's Muslim agenda. Let's say it's the Christian. No, we want a system whereby you, the parent, you, the family, get to choose what is best for you
For
and
your child. Exactly.
and
Exactly.
you don't want a system of governance where a special interest group can come and take it over and then push their way on the unsuspecting population. Now that is why, on Shirley, many special interest groups have a hard time with me because when they come to me, I am saying I'm here to protect your rights. I'm not here to push your agenda.
But why? But why? If the creator himself say, "I give you freedom of choice," this is the freedom for you to make your choice.
Yeah,
No, the choice that you make, whether it be good or bad, the consequence is yours.
it's yours. It's your
You see,
consequence.
so this is the thing that people don't understand, that everyone have a right to decide their own destiny.
Destiny. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You understand? And it's not for Mr. Patterson, or it's not for Auntie Shirley to come and tell you, say, this is how you have to live.
Yeah.
You have a right to decide your own destiny. But all I'm saying to people now, here is a crisis that involves all of us.
Mhm.
And we need to put all the garbage aside and
Mhm.
come together for one cause.
Yes.
Because there is a set of people who want to bring us into slavery. They want to bring us back. Mark, slavery done yet with,
Mhm.
only the chain come off our foot. But the mind still enslaved because they
Mhm.
don't want you to think for yourselves. And until people wake up and start to look and think for themselves and know who they are and what they want out of life, I can't do it for you. Every individual have to hold themselves accountable. It boils back to each individual. You need to, people down there need to stop, look to these so-called politicians, these corrupt politicians from head to toe. None of them down there have their interests at heart. So if they don't wake up, I can tell you, if they don't unite and say, look, we'll get rid of them corrupted people here. Believe you me, we will have no legacy for our children and grandchildren,
I
because
tell you,
what we will
here's what
have
is happening.
no legacy for our children and
Here's what is
grandchildren.
happening on Shirley. We are living in a global society now where there's less need for manual labor. Okay? Every
Mm.
year there's less need for manual labor. Now watch me carefully now, this is serious. The vast majority of Jamaicans are not mentally well developed.
True.
Okay? We're not developed to our full intellectual capacity. So many of our young people who are coming out of school don't know up and down when it comes on to technical things.
You're
They
right.
don't have long time now we're weak in mathematics. Long time, not today. But we're weaker now than we ever were before in mathematics. We're weaker in science now than we ever were before. We're weaker in technology. Now, watch me carefully. Remember, the world is reducing its need for manual labor. Robotics and artificial intelligence is taking over. What
Mm-hmm.
this means on Shirley is that in a few short years, most Jamaicans will have absolutely no job available to them because of our
Mm-hmm.
leaders. What does this mean for us? The Chinese is going to eat our breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to eat our breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The Europeans are going to eat our breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The South Americans are going to eat our breakfast, lunch. So Jamaica, and even a large part of Africa, is in a position where we're going to be crowded out even for our own country because we will not have the capacity to respond.
Exactly.
The UIC is fully understanding this and trying to get us to shift quickly away from the same trajectory that these parties. These two parties, they have driven Jamaica into the ground.
Yeah, because you don't hear Mr.
We
Oldest, you
can't.
don't hear man say that we have to do these things quickly, we have to move fast.
Yes, we
We
can't.
have to move
Look at
fast,
it.
and
We
the
can't
people now
build.
wake up and realize and see what's going on.
We can't build our own roads. We can't build our own hospitals. We can't run a transportation system. We can't manage an airline. We can't manage an airport. We can't manage a schooling system. We can't manage a healthcare system. Do you realize
Now with technology.
in a few years, surely, everything in Jamaica will be owned and operated by foreigners?
Exactly. And they know Jamaica, them have to do the dirty work, the
We
groundwork.
are going to be begging for menial jobs,
Mm-hmm.
begging begging to be allowed to sweep off the shop
Yes,
peso.
right.
And the Chinese owner will say, I'm sorry, we now have a robot that does that.
Exactly. And not only that, if you look in the media, you see what's going on in North Korea. The people them are dead for hungry.
Yes, yes,
Somebody gets a leak out while going in North Korea. And this is the exact thing will happen in Jamaica if Jamaican people don't wake up, understand, and realize the big picture and the game that has been playing on them.
absolutely, absolutely. Did you know that Jamaica was once the number one economy in the Caribbean?
Of
Number
course.
one.
Yes, I know that.
No,
I know it was Mr. Siago. It was Mr. Siago was rated the second world number one economist.
yes. So we were
Mr.
number one.
Siago.
No,
And we were number one.
we were number one before we had our first vote in Jamaica in 1944. And
Mm-hmm.
we remained in the number one spot for a number of years. Now, over the 80 years of these two parties, we have gone from number one to second to last in the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
To last. From number one down to second to last. How is that possible? So let's think back. What made Jamaica number one in the past? Well, we had a lot of natural resources.
Exactly.
We were among the leaders in agriculture. We were
Mm-hmm.
producing sugarcane, banana, cocoa, coffee,
You name it, yeah.
you name it. We were
And spice. And our spice.
we even had light manufacturing here in Jamaica. We used to produce
Mm.
the switches and the plugs and the socket boxes and so on. We used to do that here in Jamaica. We used to have a railway that was fully operating. We had a number of small manufacturers. What went wrong? Follow me carefully. All that has happened is that those who took over leading us from the colonial masters, they have led us in a way that made us less and less and less productive, less and less and less competent, less and less profitable, more and more lazy,
Yep.
more and more unproductive,
Mm-hmm.
more. So even though we have more schools and more children in schools, we're actually less productive than when we had less schools and less children in schools. Think about that. So as long as we continue to keep these two parties in power, because it's we, keeping them in power. They cannot be in power without us. If we, the people, say we have had enough, they cannot stay in power. So as long as we allow them, now, mind you, they have dumbed us down even more. We are dumber today than we were in 1962 and in
Yep.
1972 and in
Yes.
1982. We're
Yes.
dumber today politically than we were
Mhm.
then. Now, the vast majority of us are one of two things. We're either resigned from politics or we're tribal politicians. We're tribal political, meaning we are die-hearted, which we can't think. When you're die-hearted, you can't think. You can't reason.
Exactly. Exactly. Can't see the bigger picture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because no matter what happened, even if they dump a whole load of cow manure on you, you're still gonna say, as long as my party do it good. You
Mhm.
understand?
Mhm.
If the
Mhm.
other party throw it down on you, you're gonna say, well, that's bad. But if your own party throw it down on you,
It's no biggie.
no problem at all. Because it's
Yeah.
like that is the kind of thinking which has permeated our society now. Now here's the trick, Shirley, because we can fix this. We can fix this. All is not lost. Right now, there are Jamaicans like yourself across the US, across Canada, across the UK who are sensible. Why are you so sensible? I tell you why. Many of you have left this country and now you have lived in America and you have seen a number of different things. Your minds have been opened. Your awareness has been developed much
Right.
more than many of us here at home because you have seen so many. For example, when I went to Canada, I left here at 23 years old. I moved to Canada. When I went to Canada, I was shocked that I could live without burglar bars. I was
Yep.
shocked that I could live
Mhm.
with a fence around my yard. I was shocked at how easy it was to do business. I went from 0 to 100 miles an hour in Canada economically because the system allowed me to move. I could
Exactly.
start a business. I could secure financing. I could find talents and skills to partner with very, very quickly. Here in Jamaica, it's a struggle to do everything.
Yeah, because
Everything
you're a
is hard.
Jamaican.
Yeah,
Because you're a
everything
Jamaican.
is hard. I went to Canada and it was so, I mean, don't get me wrong, Canada was a challenge. What I liked about Canada, the challenge was about my intellect.
Right.
How much was I going to use my mind and my competences to overcome challenge? Here in Jamaica, it's how much connection and conniving and
And
corruption
exactly,
you can do.
if you're not genetically connected to
Yes,
nobody. Yeah.
yeah. So in Canada, it was about my competences.
Yeah.
How competent would I be? Because in Canada, I have never had to go to any politicians for any benefits or favors. I have
Wow.
never had to go to any politician, and yet still I could rise from the bottom. When I just got to Canada, I couldn't get a job, so I had to work in a restaurant,
Yep.
waiting people, mopping floors, and serving people. In short order, I could move up the ladder by my technical competencies. You understand me? Here in Jamaica, how competent you are is how corrupt you are that allows you to move up the ladder.
True. True.
No, you
True.
cannot build a country like that. You can't build a country on how corrupt you are is how high you rise. You must build a country on how competent you are is how high you rise. So I was able, what I amassed in Canada, what I accomplished in Canada in that short period of time, it took me 17 years in Canada to become significantly more wealthy than I could possibly come in Jamaica. And I can say that with no apologies because all of my friends who stayed here, who never left, many of them are even brighter than me. They still could not achieve as much economically here as I did over there. And it's not because I am brighter than them. It's simply because here the system stuntifies you, the system pulls you down. And if you're going to rise up in this country, you have to find all means of corruption to do so. You can speak out a little bit, but it's hard for you to do it. But in Canada, the US, England, and I can speak as somebody who has been here. I have had the privilege of being in all of these countries: Germany, China, Denmark, Netherlands, England. I've been to all of them, and one thing I realize is that Jamaica is the most difficult of them all. And it's stunting our people, it's regressing our people, it's holding us down, and it's time for us to liberate ourselves. And we can't do it with being put in jail, and we can't do it with their system. We have to get rid of the system, and we have to remove them from being controlling our government.
I do have to renew the mind too. The
Yes,
mindset. The mind. People have to change their mindset of thinking. You understand? Because what happened, what they're not seeing, is that we, the Jamaican, if we get it together, believe you me, the whole world will
absolutely.
turn, because everybody eyes is on Jamaica. And like I was saying, see the vulture them come down power.
Yes,
See the vulture them a come down from why you think the vulture they coming down? They don't want us to unite.
absolutely. We have 5 minutes to go. We have 5 minutes.
Right. I realize that. And we're going to close.
We've
They
gone over.
don't want us to unite. And I am pleading and I'm beseeching our people. Unite.
Yes,
Because if you don't unite, Dagaganyam will suffer.
yes. I want to remind everyone that come July 2nd, Sunday, we're going to be in Montego Bay for the We town hall meeting. It's going to be really exciting. 19% in Montego Bay. Please come out and join us. The battle one, the battle right difficult one, but we are stronger together. We can do this. I want to just call all of my brothers and sisters around the world. We are depending on you to fund this campaign. If everyone in the dialogue gave $10, $25, $50 a month, everyone, just give that. We have 1,000 people donating $25 a month. We can have the fund to elect a bunch of new candidates to turn the tide in our politics. The power is in your hands. Don't give up on Jamaica. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your people. If we join hands together, if we our time, our talent, and our treasure to the movement, we can rescue Jamaica and make it the all want it to be. Safe Jamaica, in Jamaica, orderly Jamaica, where every one of us live, work, and retire with dignity in our own country. Please, one Jamaica, stronger together. Thank you, Aunt Shirley. All the best.
Peace, my brother.
Respect. All right. Take care.